What's good? Thank you for stopping by to visit the channel for this upcoming Game of the Century, Game of the Year preview between Georgia and Tennessee. If this is your first time visiting this channel and you want to hear a different take of college football from an analytical perspective, if you haven't done so already, please click that subscribe button, click notification bell, and select all so you won't miss out on another video. Also, like the video, share this video on your social media platforms. It does help this channel grow. And please give me your score prediction in the comment section below, even if you agree or disagree with it. So, I've seen a lot of big time college football games in Athens, Georgia. A lot of top 10 matchups. But I don't think I've ever seen or ever been around to see a potential 1 versus 2 matchup. And folks, I'm just going to go ahead and just, end the controversy, pull the curtain down. I'm not going to say projected, but this will be a 1 versus 2 matchup when the college football playoff rankings come out. I have these two teams projected in the top 2. Where they're going to end up really doesn't matter at this point. This is essentially a de facto Elite 8 type game, so to speak, if you're talking about the Final Four, whatever the case is. But this is like a potential, not Elite 8, but Sweet 16 type game to play in the Elite 8, which would be in the SEC championship game. That's pretty much going to be a Elite 8 game right there. So without further ado, we're going to start off this preview. This is how we do with any other preview, with the tail of the tape of the advanced metrics. So as we're taking a look at a tail of the tape of advanced metrics, the advanced numbers really love these two teams. These two teams are exceptional in overall quality. Both teams are ranked in the top 5 in F+, SP+, FEI. Tennessee is ranked 6, but I mean, that's only splitting hairs at this point. This is going to be a battle between the Georgia defense and the Tennessee offense. Georgia's defense, second in the country. Tennessee's offense surprisingly went down. They were number 1 last week, but it looks like Ohio State took that spot. The only advantage in this game is the Georgia offense versus the Tennessee defense, which the Tennessee defense is improving from week to week. 34th in the country in defense SP, but Georgia holds the advantage since their offense SP plus ranking is 10 spots higher than Tennessee's defense. This game had all of the makings of a complete runaway. Georgia in the first half just took Florida apart. Florida just couldn't get anything going, and everything just went right for Georgia in this game, to be quite honest with you, in the first half. Now, the third quarter, Georgia had an offensive success rate, which is crazy, an 80% offensive success rate, but they also turned the ball over multiple times, which led to Florida scoring and trying to make this game interesting. One of the big items of note is Stetson Bennett had a passing success rate of 86%, which is utterly ridiculous, to be quite honest with you. And I know a lot of you are asking the question in the third quarter, they turned the ball over quite a bit, but to kind of give you an idea of how the success rate works, think of it as free throw shooting. You can take 10 free throws, make 8 of them, but if you airball 2 of them, that's still an 80% free throw percentage. So at the end of the day, even with those interceptions and turnovers that Georgia had, they were still marginally successful throughout the entire game, and just basically took the wind out of Florida, any chance of them having to come back. One of the items of note, Anthony Richardson, even though he did have a 43% passing success rate, he did have the second best game in his entire career throwing the football. So it is something to keep an eye on in this case if you're comparing Georgia's defensive performance to Tennessee's defensive performance, since they do have a quality opponent. Actually a common opponent in this case. This is a game where you thought, in the preview, that if Kentucky forced Tennessee to kind of play slower and kind of forced them to play their style, that you could see Tennessee, potentially struggling a little bit just to kind of get a rhythm. Unfortunately, Tennessee didn't allow Kentucky to dictate any pace, and Tennessee just completely destroyed Kentucky. I can honestly say from an FBS standpoint, and I know they played Akron, I know they played Ball State. I don't really count Akron, to be quite honest with you, as an FBS team. Akron is awful. I think my alma mater could beat them, to be quite honest with you. But in any event, I think defensively this was Tennessee's best showing against a high quality FBS team. And I know Kentucky's not particularly as efficient running the football as they have been previously, but this was a game where Kentucky had to run the ball, but unfortunately they just couldn't do it against a team that is well equipped to stop the run in Tennessee. And I mean, 23 runs stopped at or behind the line. 23% of the runs stopped at or behind the line of scrimmage. Tennessee just they did what they did against an overmatched opponent, and you got to give them a lot of credit to show a lot of maturity to take apart a team like Kentucky, who all intents and purposes is a quote unquote rival, and you have a looming game ahead against a quality opponent in Georgia the following week. So it just goes to show this team is really focused leading up to this one. So this is going to be a challenge for sure. So when you see this info card, you're obviously going to be thinking this is Georgia defensively, right? But no, this is Georgia on offense. And there are a lot of ones on Georgia's offense. And Tennessee, with all due respect, their offense is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. But when you adjust for a quality of opponent, man, Georgia's right there with them. They're number one in offensive success rate, number one in rushing offense, number one in standard down offense, second in passing down offense, and they're also sixth in offensive line yardage, which tests the strength of their offensive line and their ability to push the pile. This is a quality offense, and they're not flashy. They don't run a play every 10 seconds or anything like that. They don't go fast. They just bludgeon you to death. And I mean, it's really bludgeoning you to death with a hammer and just going death by 1,000 cuts. Their ability to just move up and down the field with precision is really unmatched in this day and age here. It's definitely a different style of offense. It's not like Kentucky. Just go ahead and call it what it is. If you're thinking that it's like Kentucky, it isn't. They have a better offensive line than Kentucky. They're able to utilize their passing game much better. They're Kentucky, but they are extremely efficient at it. So if this is a type of game where you can control the line of scrimmage and you can control time of possession and ensure that the Tennessee offense is on the sideline, this is the offense that can do it and can do it effectively. Now, I will say this about Tennessee. Defensively, I know their pass defense has been completely abysmal this year, but they have actually improved week to week. I know last week they were ranked 72nd when you adjust for opponent in pass defense. They're now 40th. So this is a defense, who they are improving on that side of the ball with regards to pass defense. Now, obvious passing downs, though, they are ranked 102nd. So if you're Georgia, Stetson Bennett, you should be able to make some plays on 3rd and long, especially against that Tennessee defense. Brock Bowers, I mean, listen, I'm pretty sure Tennessee fans are going to be tired of hearing about Brock Bowers, but I'm just going to be honest with you. There hasn't been anybody that stopped Brock Bowers this year. I mean, no one has stopped him this year. If that kid was NFL eligible, a lot of GMs would take him. I mean, 100. I think every GM would sacrifice their unborn child to have Brock Bowers on their roster right now. I mean, the kid's that good. So it's going to be a challenge. I mean, I know he's a tight end, but that dude is not like any other tight end I've seen. That kid's an alien. When Tennessee has the ball, it is speed, 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 More speed, more speed, more speed, wide splits, and speed. They are just they're really a fit. I mean, they're just tough, man. I mean, the offense is so different. It is like night and day. I mean, they're just they go so fast, but they can go 100 miles an hour but be in control. It is like controlled chaos. It's probably the best way that I can describe their offense. They're right behind Georgia in offense success rate. They're also behind Georgia in adjusted standard down offense. And when you have an offense that goes at a tempo the way Tennessee does, for them to be second in adjusted standard down offense, like if you were in the top 3 in staying ahead of the chains while you're going fast, that tells me you are putting so much pressure on the other defense. It is uncanny. Now, the thing about Tennessee is that I know a lot of people think they're finesse. I keep saying this week after week. It seems like it's a broken record, but they are so physical up front. Their offensive line, 5th in the country in offensive line yards. They're also 5th in the country in runs and not allowing runs to be stopped at or behind the line of scrimmage. 11% of their runs have been stopped at or behind the line of scrimmage. And this is a team that runs the football more than they pass. They utilize the run to set up the pass and beat you over the top. It is, as far as chaotic goes, it is frightening. And as you can see here, they have a pretty good advantage against that Georgia defense. And I know this is not the Georgia defense from last year. You know, there's a lot of pieces and a lot of leadership that they lost. But man, I see a lot of power T's as an advantage when they're going up against that Georgia defense. So this is going to be quite the challenge against these young guys from Georgia. So Tennessee is going to come in. They're going to be ready. All right. So the computer model for this game, at the time of recording, Georgia is an 8.5 point favorite. My model has this game tighter than that. Yeah, when I say tight, I mean, it's pretty much a pick 'em. It has Georgia winning by the final score, rounding up 35-34. Giving Georgia a win probability of 50.7, Tennessee at 49.3. When I ran the model last week, it had Georgia winning. It was like 40 to 30. It was like 41-37, something along those lines. But things change from week to week. And when you adjust for opponent quality and opponent strength, you kind of get different numbers from week to week. So when I read it again, it was definitely eye-opening, and I ran it multiple times just to ensure that my eyes were not being deceived. So yeah, this is definitely this thing could shape up to be a classic for all we know here. So I'm looking forward to this one. I'm wondering if the model is going to be accurate. Last week the model hit 57% against the spread and 70% straight up as well. So the model is starting to ramp things up, and it's starting to project scores really well now that we have a whole lot of data to go off of. So yeah, the more the better. Bill Connolly in his SP Plus ranking has Georgia winning with a 70% win probability. And I think it has Georgia favored by 9. So he's right in line with the current Vegas projection at this point. So Tennessee is coming into this game as an 8.5 point underdog on the road. And this is a Tennessee team that is a top 2 team in the AP currently, but in college football playoff rankings, they're going to be either number 1 or number 2. So, yes, there is a path to victory for Tennessee. They honestly, they are a really good football team. Offense, they are just as explosive. They are efficient. They're a tough team to match up against because of the scheme that they run. So for them, if they do start off fast, and I mean jumping out like 10-0, and they're able to slow down the Georgia run game and turn Georgia's drives into field goals instead of touchdowns, while they're going down the field and they're scoring touchdowns on their side. This is a game where Georgia is going to have to abandon their entire offensive philosophy and just go point for point, blow for blow. And essentially, it's the equivalent of having a basketball team that likes to press and force the other team to be sped up, so to speak, and not get involved in their half-court set. Tennessee wants to go up and down. They want to go 100 miles an hour. Georgia doesn't want to go 100 miles an hour in this game. They want to control the line of scrimmage. They want to control clock. They want to give Hendon Hooker and that Tennessee offense as few possessions as they possibly can. Another item to note, and this just popped up in my notification. Nolan Smith, according to Kirby Smart, Nolan Smith, leader of that defense, linebacker, came back for this season, is out apparently with a torn pectoral muscle. That's a huge loss. And last night, I remember the spread. It was 11.5 in favor of Georgia, and it has dropped down to that 8.5 spot. So a loss like that can't be understated. I know Georgia's recruited well. I follow recruiting just as much, if not more, than the typical standard recruitnik Georgia fan. And yes, you guys have recruited well, but you can't replace leadership like that. That's a guy you just cannot just say, all right, we're just gonna plug a guy in and just have him play the biggest game of the year against one of the most potent offenses that we have seen this year. It's a hard sell. I mean, it's a hard thing to ask for a newcomer to come in. And I know they're talented. I know they recruited well at that spot. But Nolan Smith, this is the kind of guy that you would need a guy like that to make those calls, and to galvanize the troops. This is the equivalent of losing a Nakobe Dean from last year. That's the heart and soul of that defense. So, in a game like this, where everything is telling me, I think Georgia is going to get this one done. Everything is leaning towards Georgia, in my opinion. But the Nolan Smith loss, Georgia also potentially could be losing Mims as well. I think Mims on the offensive line he's day to day, but I do like that Georgia offensive line. I do like the fact that they have recruited well. I don't know if his loss is going to be if he can't go. I don't know if that's going to be as big of an issue. But I think the Tennessee scheme on offense, they have yet to be. I don't think they're going to be stopped. I'm not sure if they're going to be slowed down. That Tennessee offense and their ability to stretch the field vertically and to be able to run the ball in the light box, I think they're going to stress that Georgia defense, unfortunately. And I'm not sure if they're going to be able to handle the pressure that Tennessee is going to put on them offensively, and they're going to force Stetson Bennett to win this game on his own. So the Georgia offense is going to get theirs, but I think Tennessee is going to get a heck of a lot more. They're going to get at least one more possession, and that one more possession that they're going to get ahead of Georgia is going to be the difference in this game. That one more possession is going to be the key to them being able to go right down the field and give them another shot at scoring. And in a team like this, you just can't give them multiple chances. So I got Tennessee in this game by the final score of 38-34. And that's how I see, this game end up shaking out, unfortunately, for Georgia. I think they're going to put together a really good offensive showing. It's going to be a well-played game throughout, but that one mistake, Georgia's going to make that one mistake, and it's going to cost them in this game here. And with that being said, that is going to be it for this game preview. Let me know what your thoughts are in the game in the comment section below. Give me your score prediction and tell me why your respective team is going to win the game. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please give the video a like. And if you love college football as much as I do, hit that subscribe button if you want to stay updated with the latest previews and the occasional highlights. Thank you for watching. Thank you for visiting the channel. Georgia fans, sorry I had to pick against you in this go around. I usually go with the favorite, usually go with the team that's playing at home that's favored, but I just got a feeling about this one. I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, then it won't be the first time, and it sure as heck won't be the last. So thank you for watching, and thank you for visiting the channel.